Big life changes bring big financial questions. Whether you're navigating a career shift, having a baby, or adjusting to life after divorce, this podcast is a safe space for real, practical financial information. I'm your host, Roland McIntyre, owner of Mountaintop Wealth. I'm a certified financial planner professional with over a decade of experience in the financial industry. In each episode, I will help you navigate life's money peaks and pivots by skipping the judgment and focusing on solutions to turn your uncertainty into confidence. No jargon, no fluff, and most importantly, no shame. Your climb starts here. I am so glad you're with us today. We have a great show for you. A few things that I really want to talk about that really comes up with a lot of people, whether it's their kids, whether it's them actually just resetting, or they are literally just starting out. The question really comes to me that, like, hey, what should I do now that I'm making some money? I'm just starting out. I'm really starting to get in that big boy, big girl job, and I really want to take care of my finances. What should I start doing in order to get myself together financially? So, like, what are some of those starting steps? What are some of the financial basics that I need to do to really get my financial house in order so I can build wealth, so I can purchase the home, so I can have the lifestyle and the freedom that I really want to enjoy? Or that's for their children, and they want to start making sure they can help them along that journey. And it is a journey. So I really want to kind of give some base level things. We'll hit on a few different items as far as getting started to actually help you get going. Other than just looking at YouTube videos, other than just looking at TikTok, or other than just uh, looking at books or just talking to people. We want to start taking some actions, and it's one of those things where time is money, and one of the most important things to do is to start early and to start sooner rather than later. You may have heard of the saying, the best time to start investing was years ago, but the next best time is now. Something to that effect. If you have heard of that, the point is, don't worry about the past. You can't control the past, but you can actually have an effect on the future. You can actually make a difference in your financial future. It's not too late, even if you are in your 40s or 50s and you're just getting around to this stuff and you're finally at a place where you think you finally are starting out to build your financial wealth. Or you are that 20-year old and you're just graduated from college, or you are just getting that big career job in your 30s. Wherever place you are, I think these things are really important and can be beneficial to your health. I want you to know something. The information and education that we provide on this podcast is for educational purposes. It's not specific investment advice. Hey, I am a certified financial planner, but I am not your financial planner. If you want to have those conversations that are specific investment advice, please schedule a meeting so we can have those conversations. But just keep in mind the information that we're providing here is not specific. So learn the information, get the education, do your research, and let's build your wealth. We're going to talk about first that income. That income is usually coming from a job, and that job is going to be the thing that pays your bills. It's going to keep that roof over your head. It's going to be the thing that provides for your family. And how we manage it is not just for those day-to-day items, it's also for the future. So we have to keep those things in mind, and we need to know what's coming into our financial household and what's going out. So one of the main things we need to do is we got to look at how much we're spending and how much we're making. So that's the first thing that you really want to do. So once you've gotten that job and you really know how much you're making, you've seen that first paycheck, or you've signed that job acceptance letter, and it's telling you you're making that 100K a year now, or that 50K a year, or 150K a year, whatever the number is. Okay, now there becomes the point of, okay, how much am I making? How much am I keeping? How much am I putting away towards my future? And before you start to look at some material items, I really, really want you to start thinking about looking at things with your workplace. If you're having a job, and I'll talk a moment about self-employment. But I want to start out with folks that have a job. One of the first things you want to look at is putting money aside for those benefits. And it's not just retirement, it's the entire benefit suite that that company has. When you get compensation from an employer, it is not just the amount that they're going to pay you. You need to look at the benefits. You need to take advantage of everything the job offers. That's one of the key things people miss out on is they miss out on their total compensation, not just their wage or their salary or how much they're going to make on commission. They are missing out on all of those other benefits because they don't look at that other part of it. They just trying to get started and they're worried about when that first paycheck comes in. Usually within that mm, 30 to 90-day window, you're having some conversations with HR. Those conversations and that benefit package or that PDF are going to be crucial. Yes, we will start off with that looking at that retirement plan for us. How much is the company actually matching what you put in? So when you're saving for retirement, you want to put some money aside. How much should you put aside? Really depends on the situation, what your goals are, where you are financially. But when you're just starting out, something is better than nothing. Some people will tell you, hey, hey, you need to do something. You need to start putting some money in, but let's be real. I'm going to be honest with you. $25 is not going to do it. 50 bucks may not be uh, enough, especially when you're making those higher incomes. If you're making six figures and you're talking about only taking $50 out of your check for retirement, we have something we need to look at some other things. So a lot of times what we will uh, talk when I'm talking with people, we'll look at how much the company is actually putting into the retirement plan. So they're going to address it as a certain percentage. So I'm just going to use $100,000 as an example. So if a company is saying, hey, we will match your retirement up to 5%, that means that that company is willing to put in $5,000 into an account for you if you also choose to put in a certain amount, whether that's going to be every company is different. So it may be that you have to put in more than that 5,000. You may have to put in a percentage that is actually a certain percentage that may be a little bit more, or it may be the exact same amount, which would be called a dollar for dollar match. All that means is when I say $5,000, if you put in 5% of your paycheck, they put in 5% of their paycheck. I mean, they put in a 5% contribution to match. Thereby, you're saving $10,000. So you've just doubled your money essentially just by putting money in this retirement account rather than putting that money in a savings account or just going and spending that money. You haven't even used that money to purchase any investments or anything yet. So just by taking advantage of the company match up to that company match max benefit is where you want to do, not a max retirement contribution. People get these two things mixed up and say, hey, I don't have the 20 plus $1,000 it's going to take to max out my 401k. You don't necessarily need to do that, but you need to look at the benefits and get the understanding of how much is the company going to actually be able to match you. And you want to go up to that extent if you can. That is that's a good guideline for you to start looking at. Now, of course, all of the information that we're giving is going to be general. This is not specific for your situation. That's why you want to look at your retirement plan package to know what other benefits and other opportunities are available to you. So that's just for retirement. What about for your emergency savings? What about for your future? Not only do you want to put money into that retirement account, but you need to put some money aside. And this is something you can do through your payroll with HR is actually put some money aside for savings. That money you can touch before you reach retirement. So you don't want to touch, ideally, you don't want to touch that money prior to retirement. So let's put some money aside and we can have so we don't have to see that money actually have to manually do it ourselves. We're going to automate these things. We want these things to automatically come out of our paycheck and go to these different accounts so we don't have to. Now, some folks, you will have that direct deposit. The money goes directly into your checking account and then you have that money automatically go from the checking account to the savings account. I personally do that. But some people, they know that if that money goes to the checking account, they have too much control over it. They see that money comes in, and they're more likely to grab that money out before it can be transferred over to the savings. So if that's you, take the moment to go ahead and work with your actual HR department, payroll department at your company to set aside that money to go into a specific savings account. In fact, if there's a certain goal that you have, I want you to put a name on that savings account. So if that savings account is the emergency fund, you can title it emergency fund. And then you can have another one. You could ask your payroll department to have multiple accounts. So one can go to, let's just say, uh, your main checking and savings account for your main paycheck. That's totally fine. And then you could use a separate bank for a separate goal. So if the separate goal is for a vacation, you can literally have that money go over into that account. And then when you set up that bank account, or if it's already set up, you can actually go in and edit the name and actually make that account and say, hey, this is for my Puerto Rico fund, or this is for my Paris fund, or this is for my just a general vacation fund. You're not sure where you're going to go. You just know you want to go somewhere. You can name that account, have that money go in there, and that's a part of your savings. So just starting out, you just started to really make some money. And we've talked about three things that you can really do. One was actually take advantage of your retirement match. So whatever that percentage is, do the company match. Actually contribute into your retirement account, the company match. The second thing we're doing is we're setting up an automatic payroll deduction to go to our savings account. With that, we're actually making we're building our savings up, and we don't have to make any extra steps. The money comes directly out of our paycheck and goes directly into our savings account. The third thing we're going to do is we're actually going to put the name of that goal on that savings account. So whether that savings account is for emergencies, we can name it a fun thing to remind us not to touch that. We can also name our vacation fund wherever we want to. That keeps us motivated, because a lot of this stuff is psychological, or once you set this stuff up once you start a job, you may forget. And that leads me to the next thing. That's why we don't necessarily do dollar amounts when we start taking out money from our paychecks. The reason being is I've seen it time and time again. People will come in, they'll sit in front of me and they'll tell me, hey, I've been working at this place for the last 20 years. I've been saving and investing the entire time, but I don't look at my retirement accounts, but I know I'm growing and saving my money. And I, but occasionally, from time to time, I do look at the statements and I really feel like it's not really growing for me. And the thing that I'll notice is the reason why it's not growing is they've been putting in the same amount for the last 20 years. So if it was $50 they've been putting in, as they've been getting pay raises and pay increases year after year after year, they haven't increased their savings percentage. They haven't increased their retirement percentage. Therefore, their money is not growing and keeping up with the lifestyle, the income that they've been making. Therefore, they're not seeing the return on their. They don't feel like they're seeing the return on their investment, and they're right, because you've set that dollar amount and you never went back to it. So that can be a danger of not actually looking at it, can actually be a hindrance to you. You want to look at your investment accounts, put it on a calendar, put it as a reminder that, hey, every 3 months, I'm going to at least just look at my retirement accounts. I'm going to look at my workplace benefits. I'm going to see at least what's going on. I'm going to check in, see how much am I contributing. And then I need you to do another thing. Can I make a change? Can I increase what I'm putting in my savings account? Can I put more in my retirement account? Can I bump up that percentage? If I was only putting in 5, can I bump that up to 6, 7, 8%? That may be the question. Now, if the answer is yes, that's great. You may want to increase it some. You may not want to increase it completely to a 15, 20, 30% amount. Not quite yet, because there's some other things that we need to take care of. One of those other things that you may need to take care of is things like insurance. And if you're just starting out, maybe you don't have any life insurance yet. Maybe there are not that many people depending on you, as you think, hey, I'm single, I don't have any kids, so life insurance is not necessarily that important to me. Well, I really want you to reconsider that. One, if you are younger, life insurance is not going to be any cheaper than it is now for you. You want to look at some type of term life insurance because life is going to happen. Things are going to change. You are going to acquire assets. Assets are things that grow and build in value. So as you grow and build things in value, having some life insurance that can cover those things in the event of your passing to make sure whomever your family is actually can deal with those things in a manner that's going to actually allow them to be less stressed and actually a way for them to actually get some of the money tax free. Life insurance allows you to do that. You want to look at term life insurance because it's going to be at a lower cost. It may be for a shorter period of time rather than permanent life insurance, but the face amount, which is the amount that they would receive in the event of your passing, is going to be a larger amount than that permanent life insurance. And when you're just starting out, the term life insurance policies work just fine. So if you're working at a job, that permanent or term life insurance question, look at the term life insurance question. I mean, look at getting workplace insurance, uh, which is totally fine. Remember, it is term insurance at work because once your employment ends, that insurance policy potentially ends. So you want to get insurance outside of work and you want to have insurance that is tied to your work. So work that maybe your company may give you a benefit of saying, hey, if you make $100,000 a year, just because you work here, we're going to give you a X amount of your salary. So it may be two times your salary. It may be one time your salary. Every company is different there, but these are the benefits people don't realize they have. And when you're making a job decision, these can be super helpful when that next job offer comes if you know what you're actually getting at this company before you choose to leave. So, and it helps you at the negotiating table when you start to compare for that next job. So you can make sure you're getting that total compensation. So hopefully this has been helpful for you thus far. There's some things I do want to talk about as far as those self-employed or those people that don't have retirement benefits or don't have work benefits, uh, what you need to do first when you're starting out. So if you're a self-employed person and you do not have a retirement plan and you're just not ready to create your own workplace retirement plan for yourself or or for your company, it's okay. You can still save for retirement and still receive so many different benefits. In fact, you can potentially receive more benefits because you are a self-employed individual, and that may help you with your taxes. Now, one of the things that you can do potentially is actually put money in a retirement account called a individual retirement account. These individual retirement accounts allow you to save for retirement specifically at a certain rate. They'll allow you to certain things like tax deferred, actually. So you don't have, when I say tax deferred, we're talking about money that when that money actually changes and you buy something, sell something, you don't necessarily have to pay taxes on it. Tax deferred means I don't have to pay the taxes now. I pay the taxes later when I withdraw the money. So you get some level of control there. Or you can choose a individual retirement account that is a Roth account where you pay the taxes now and you benefit from tax-free income later and start building up your retirement savings. In fact, once you're starting to make a larger income as a self-employed individual, you can start looking at things like a solo 401k where you get to be the employer and the employee and build even more money to build that wealth. But for now, you're just starting out. You can put money into that traditional IRA or that Roth IRA to start building and growing wealth. Now, now, with all of these different accounts that we're telling you to put money in, I want to take a second to give you a key component that's next. We've just put money in these accounts, and that's totally fine for our money that's going directly into a checking account and directly into a savings account. We put the money in there in these different accounts, and it earns interest automatically for us. It's no necessarily button that we have to click on or switch on for us to earn interest. But with a Roth IRA, with a traditional IRA, with that workplace retirement account, which may be a 401k, a 403b, a 457, a thrift savings account, all of that mess or jargon is just a retirement account. And that's just you putting money into the account but we haven't purchased any investments yet. This is another mistake that people make. They put the money in the account, but they never do anything with it. So they never choose to actually start investing and growing the money in the account. And this can be where people stall out or run into an issue. Now, thankfully, a lot of companies have started to automatically put you into what's called a target date fund. So if you're 20 years old, they're going to have a target date fund that's set up for you to be invested automatically into this account to where once you turn 65 years old, they're going to base it off of your age now that says, hey, you have about 45 years until retirement. So we're going to invest that money that you've put into this retirement account automatically into a combination of stocks and bonds that's more appropriate to your age. This is called a target date retirement account. Those are totally fine for your workplace account. Now, if you're self-employed or you're putting up money in a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA, you may not have that option easily available for you. So another thing you may want to consider, because we want to make finances simple, we want to look at something like we want to look at things like index funds. We're not necessarily looking to buy and sell individual stocks. We're not looking for trading. We're not necessarily looking at crypto at this point. We're looking at getting financial habits started and building that wealth so we can make money in our sleep. So this money can build and compound and grow over time. So we're literally giving you actionable steps. So one of the things you can do is look at purchasing these index funds for stocks and bonds, and they're literally total market index funds that has the entire suite of bonds, the entire suite of stocks. So you don't have to buy a whole bunch of different investment funds. They're already pre-selected for you within the actual basket of stocks and bonds. The great thing about specifically index funds is the cost is lower for these funds. These funds are not changing in and out every day. So the less turnover they have means that there's less expenses, meaning you get to keep more of that money. And as the more stock market does well overall, you do well. Those investments grow. Those investments are going to grow faster than that savings account. It's going to grow faster than the money that's just going in the checking account. Have you looked at how much money that you earn from your checking account? And then look at the money that you earn in your savings account. Look at the high yield savings accounts, and then you start looking at what you would be earning from a target date fund or index fund or any mutual fund in comparison. You can see over the long term that these rates of return are really what are going to accelerate your money for the long term. So by you earning somewhere in the range of 6, 7, 8, 10% on average, some years higher, some years lower, some years the account may dip. But if you don't touch that money over long periods of time, you're really going to see that money start to compound and make a difference. Now, the rest of that money that you have, you get to use for your other goals and activities. We're not talking about large amounts of money necessarily when you start out, because the sooner you start, the money accelerates and builds faster. And you actually don't have to make such large contributions in order to get to literally millions of dollars if you do this early. So if you are 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, you can really start to really see the difference by the time you're in your mid 20s and 30s. And if you're in your 30s, you can really start to see the difference in your 40s and so on. So even if you're a late starter, you just hit 50 and it's time to get serious about retirement, you could in 20 years, you could have the money that you need for that retirement. Now, do you have to be a little bit more serious? Absolutely. Will you catch up with the 40-year-old? I mean, the person that started when they were 40 years old? Maybe, maybe not. But that's not your race. You're not worried about anybody else. You need to do what you can. Look at your workplace retirement benefits. Look at your contributions to your individual retirement accounts. Make sure you put some money aside for emergencies. Do these things automatically. If you set up auto investments, auto savings, auto payments, these are the things that actually help you when you're starting out so that you can actually focus on more important things like building your career, actually getting the education that you need, getting the credentials that you need, having those conversations with leaders and professionals in your industry that can introduce you to new opportunities so you can accelerate that income. So you can start that small business that's going to actually give you the opportunity. It's not necessarily the investments that are going to make you rich overnight. It's the discipline and the habits of actually automatically investing and making the money simple for you so you can tackle life's challenges. So you can tackle life's goals and actually have the money available as a tool for the opportunities that you're looking for. So hopefully this is starting to make some sense for you. If you're looking for a more detailed conversation, if you're looking for an opportunity to talk through your situation, I am a click away where you can reach out to me. You can schedule a free consultation and we can talk out some of the things that can help you reach your financial goals. And I'm looking forward to having the conversation with you.